Hello mushroom lovers on YouTube. I'm really excited because today I'm finally making a batch. The first batch that I've done on this channel. Before I get started, again, this is a channel for beginning mushroom farmers, or even, not even mushroom farmers, but even just people that want to grow mushrooms. So I don't have a fancy batch mixer. I don't have a fancy like bag, shaker, roller, all that stuff. I do have some nice equipment, but just for actually mixing purposes, I'm just doing it old school style, which is all that I have. So to start, all I'm gonna need, what I'm gonna be using is a big kind of tub, like a trough, basically for mixing. What I'm gonna be actually making the sawdust bags for are, I believe, golden oysters, some type of oyster mushroom. So I'm going to be doing what's called the master's mix, and it's a mixture of hardwood, sawdust pellets, and soybean hulls. So keep on watching if you want to learn how to make sawdust blocks. Okay, so the first step in doing your sawdust bags is to measure out your ingredients. So the first thing you're going to need are hardwood fuel pellets. Hardwood, not softwood, not pine. So in my house, we actually heat our stoves, or heat the house with pellet stoves, and we use pine, which smells phenomenal. But for this, you need hardwood, and I'm not even going to get into all that because I'm trying to do a short video, but you have to use either oak or some type of hardwood pellets. Most bags, I'm going to show you one. Oh my goodness, so heavy. Okay, most bags for hardwood pellets, they come in 40-pound bags, right? Which is great. So this is going to be a really easy ratio. It's going to be 40 pounds of hardwood pellets along with 40 pounds of soybean hulls. Now, I've gotten messages on Facebook, I think maybe even here on YouTube, on where to find soybean hulls. I will tell you, it is like near impossible to find. Certainly just like online, you know, that can get shipped to you. I have not found that. It took me like weeks to find someone local. And surprisingly, they were like maybe 20 minutes away. But I mean, I called so many places before finding this place I had never heard of. So a local feed store is where I found mine. At least for mine, they only come, or the feed store actually has them in bulk. So I had to call them and have them bag this up. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, this is too heavy. It's like 75 pounds, so I'm not picking it up right now. But I had to call them, tell them, like, I want 500 pounds or whatever. And, you know, they bagged it up for me. So this is, again, this is why I'm doing this channel, because I don't want people to make the same mistakes as me if they don't have to. So if I'm doing a 50-50 ratio, I want 40 pounds of the fuel pellets, 40 pounds of the soybean hulls. Well, I had them fill it to, actually I didn't even specify. I just said I need 500 pounds, bag it. They did 75-pound bags. Okay, this is, again, I just wasn't really thinking. I was just thinking, yep, just bag it and I'll like weigh it. So should have just had them do 40-pound bags, and that way I could just, you know, dump one, dump the other, and be done. Don't even have to worry about it. Even still, these 75-pound bags, I'm sure that some are 75, some might be 82, some might be 70. So you still probably want to kind of weigh it, but at least it's better than nothing. So we're gonna take a trough and we're gonna mix these two ingredients. But the first thing I have to do is measure it. So I've taken again this 5-gallon bucket. I love them. I use them for everything. So let me pull this now. I have it on a scale. This is like the Gucci scale. So basically, I zeroed it out, and I'm just gonna start adding my soybean hulls. Okay, so everything has been measured. I've got my trough here. I've got a shovel. Yep, that's what I'm using to mix all this stuff up in. And I've got my soybean hulls here. Now these, again, they're 5-gallon buckets. Just so you know, for the size, like hulls, you know, the fine mixture that I have, each bucket filled up to here, like maybe an inch from the top, was 15 pounds. So I've got 15 pounds in there, and then I've got another 10 pounds in this smaller one, all measured out on my Gucci scale here. So before I actually add the soybean hulls, though, I want to constitute the hardwood pellets, because they are, you know, they're hard, they're really dry. Well, they're both dry, but you know they're hard. They need time to get kind of mushy. And the best way to do that is adding hot water. It actually seems to break up the pellets easier, or quicker, I should say. So I'm going to use what's called a solenoid valve to measure out the right amount of water with the little hose. After I start filling, I'm going to show you what a solenoid valve is. Before I forget though, with this mix, it's 50 liters of water. Why 50? Because that's what my mentor uses. That's what the solenoid valve, it measures water out in liters. So it's like whatever your parents, you know, whatever they said goes, just it's 50 liters of water. You can do the math on gallons if you want. All right, so I'm going to start filling. All right, so this here is a solenoid valve. I had my plumber actually install it or encase it, geez, sorry about my finger, in this like nice little box and mount it to the wall, but it just comes with that white and blue thing. It's actually hooked up to my water line, my hot water line, and how you program it, it's pretty simple. Let's see if I can keep my camera straight. So you're going to set it, and I'm going to change this to 50 liters of water. So it says 50 right there. And then I'm just going to press run stop here. Ooh. One big thing I forgot is to actually turn the valve off or on. When I'm not using it, I turn it in the off position. So you notice though that the meter is still on 50. So I'm going to turn it on. I have this, let's see, this hot water hose. I actually probably need a longer one because it doesn't reach that far. And I actually wound up just holding mine because I like to show or to direct where the flow is going. Eric has his set up on with the shower head, and it's actually like it's just on it's like mounted to the wall, and his station is always in the same spot. Whereas mine is, it's this bucket in the middle of my floor, so I just pull the bucket in and out because I don't have enough space to have a permanent station. It is what it is. Eventually, like I said, I want to get all of this automated. I'd love to have a batch mixer. That basically all a batch mixer is it, some kind of holding system. I've seen them a lot of times with like a 50-gallon drum or some kind of drum that's kind of cut out, and it just mixes, kind of like a KitchenAid mixer, for like baking cakes and stuff. It just mixes, all the substrate up, with the water and everything. So one other thing, like ideally, you would have the pellets, just for time's sake, you would have the pellets, starting to hydrate with this water while you are measuring out the soybean hulls. But again, I don't have a whole lot of room, so I just have to do it this way, and I'll go get my coffee or a glass of wine or use the bathroom, whatever, while I'm sitting here waiting for it to hydrate. It doesn't really normally take that long, maybe like 5, no more than 10 minutes for all these pellets. I'll get closer. You can kind of see them just kind of breaking up. But yeah, the other thing I like about hand holding, other than again just being able to kind of direct, if I see like a dry spot over here, I can kind of direct where the water goes. But I can also change the flow. So if I turn up that, the meter where the water comes out from, not the meter, but the valve, I can make it go faster, slower, trickle, whatever. And at the end of this whole cycle, it's going to stop at 50 liters. Because 50 liters is a lot of water, and you don't have time to be sitting there with a gallon, milk jug or whatever, pouring all this stuff out. So I'm going to keep constituting, and then what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm actually going to add the soybean hulls to this mixture, and then I will start mixing. Alright, so I have thoroughly mixed the first bucket of soybean hulls into fully moistened hardwood fuel pellets. And so after the first bucket, I just mixed it really, really good. It gets to be a mixture just like this. Kind of like, I don't know, just a really nice, like, sandy, like, I don't want to say cookie mix, but whatever, some kind of mix. You can see how it is. So I'm just going to kind of layer it in. I'm going to do another bucket of these soybean hulls. And on my water, I have, out of 50 liters, I'm at 35 liters. I'm at 35 liters, so I have about 15 left. So I'm going to just, with my shovel, probably do better actually with a pitchfork. I don't know, I should try it with a pitchfork next time. But just kind of mix it in, get all the way down. The soybean hulls act as, it's a nutrient for the mycelium to grow. And it's really the nitrogen that's in the soybean hulls. You could also use bran. If you can't find soybean hulls, you can use bran. And if you're making shiitake blocks, bran is actually the preferred nutrients. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep on mixing here. And you don't want to have too much water. You don't want to have not enough water. The reason being, if you have too much, the mycelium will actually drown. You'll notice on the bottom of the bag when you're incubating it, after it's been spawned, when it's in incubation, all the water will actually drop to the bottom of the bag, and you won't see any white mycelium growth there. It's because it's literally going down there and dragging. If that happens though, all you have to do is turn your bag on its side and kind of evenly distribute that water again. And it'll just probably take another week, 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks for that part to colonize. But yeah, so I'll just keep mixing, trying to get everything as uniform as possible, and then on to bagging. Alright, so I'm back. I am all mixed up, ready to go to start bagging. And a couple things. I am doing it on the ground. I used to have this tub here up on like a table, a folding table. Bad idea. Even though the folding table said it was good for 1,000 pounds. I mean, this is only 80 bags of substrate and 50 liters of water, but anyways, it wound up collapsing in the middle of me bagging, and I was pissed. So I just do it on the floor, which, you know, I'm on my knees. Guys, go ahead and insert whatever joke you want. I've heard them all before, please. But anyway, so since I am on my knees, I have a little garden knee pad. No need to be in too much pain. And then for bags, so I currently use the Unicorn, I believe it's XLA bags. I first got the Fungi Perfecti bags, and they're nice. They're large, but they're not as large as these. And the reason I like using a large bag, I'm filling these to 10 pounds. So this is, okay, let me back up. This here is called a batch. And some people say, well, how many bags can you get out of a batch? Well, it depends on what size bags you're using, of course. So when I was using smaller bags, I would do like probably about 38 bags, 38, 6-pound bags or whatever. Well, now I'm going to do, I don't know, it's like 20, 22 bags or something of the large. I'll get back when I'm finished with this. I think it's like 22 bags, maybe 24 at best. But it's a lot less folding and all of that before I put it in my sterilizer, which is behind me. So basically, all I'm going to do is take my bag and, oh, one more note about these bags. So every company pretty much, you either got to buy a quantity of 100, which is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 batches, or you can buy 1,000. Everything in mushroom farming is big scale, like 1,000, or you got to have a whole pallet of something. I just, been doing a lot of harvesting. I've harvested like 125 pounds of mushrooms this week, which is my highest, and I'm out of bin space to actually store it in my walk-in cooler. So I was like, oh, I'll just buy some more, I'll order it. Freaking, you had to buy like 200 of these things. I'm like, really? So it's very hard to find like small amounts of things, but the good thing is if you invest in it, you get 1,000 bags, you get whatever, high amount of things. It's good. You're going to have it for a while, and you don't have to worry about, spending that money anytime soon. So I have a really high-tech thing that holds the bag open. It's called a Walmart donut shop coffee canister. I just cut the bottom out with the what do you call it? Can opener. So I just take the bag and I just kind of fold it, the gusset on itself, just to make it kind of tight. Take a little scooper. What? So high tech. And then I scoop it into the bag. And after a while, you know kind of how many scoops. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, I'm gonna say, so that was 8 scoops. Let me take this out. I'm gonna now weigh it just to see how much it weighs, and then I'll just kind of eyeball the rest of them so I don't have to weigh each one out like that. So turn this on. All right. Nowhere near. So that's 6.73 pounds. I want to get it to 10 pounds. So that was 8. And once, I'll turn this back. So once it gets, you know, filled enough, at least this way, I found you can just go ahead and start, you know, dumping it straight in. It's just those initial, you know, it opens the bag up when you have substrate in it. It's just probably the first initial few pounds. So 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, let me see where I'm at. I'm doing like kind of heaping, you know, scoops. And whatever you use as your scooper, obviously that's going to be what you would use. So right there, I don't know if you can see that. Where's the light? It is 9.99 pounds. So shoot, now I forgot. I want to say it was 12 scoops that I did. So yeah, 12 scoops is going to be what I use for the remainder of the bags. So I'll just, from here, I'll put the bag, I have a little folding table behind me. It's like, I don't know, 3 by 3. I'm going to do like 5 bags at a time, put them up on the table, and then I'll show you how I fold it and all that stuff, and then put it into the sterilizer. Alright, so I've done bagging of 5 bags, and it took me just about 4 minutes to do that, and I'm not all that fast. I just, whatever. I actually wound up weighing each of the bags because last time I think I had a little bit of unevenness, so I want to make sure for me that 12 scoops like worked. So anyhow, I'm going to show you how I actually get the bags ready to go into the sterilizer, but before I do that, I want to actually show the sterilizer. So this is a 55-gallon drum sterilizer. It's from Bubba's Barrels. It is a design from Eric from Myers Mushrooms. He designed it and they built it. It's got a nice like neoprene sleeve that helps keep it you know, cool enough for you to like kind of touch it, but it keeps the warmth in as well. I have it hooked up to a PID controller. It's actually just a plug and play PID controller. And someone's gonna ask, what is a PID? I still can't even tell you exactly what it is in like, you know, technical terms, but bottom line, it lets me program the sterilizer for the amount of time that I want to run at whatever temperature I want to run it. And it even allows for me to program it so that it doesn't start that temperature time until it's come up to temperature. So for example, I'm going to actually run this for 212 degrees for, you know, call it 15 to 18 hours. All right, that's kind of what's been working for me, I think. So, so yeah, so it won't start let's say I want to do it for 15 hours. It won't start that 15 hours until the temperature gets up to 212 degrees. And then, yeah, and then after it does the 15 hours, it shuts off, and then I wait about a day for it to cool, and I can take the bags out, put it in front of the flow hoods or wherever for it to cool even more. So usually about 2 full days to cool it before you put the spawn in. So just a little factoid on that. But yeah, I'll try to remember to put a link below for how to get these barrels. Last thing on the barrel, I wish that I had gone bigger. This will allow a whole batch, but I would rather not do this like twice a week. I'd rather just do it once and like knock it out in a day's work. So I think there's like a 110 and I think even a 185. I'm probably going to wind up selling this one and getting a bigger one. So if you're going to buy one, or hell, even if you're going to make one yourself, go bigger. It's worth it. So I'm going to lift up the lid. The lid on here is really cool. It has a temperature gauge, you know, Fahrenheit and Celsius. It's got like 4, I don't know if you can see those 4 little holes just for any steam to come out. So I'm going to set this lid aside. And, Jesus, okay, you might want to set it on the floor instead of trying to prop it up. Lesson learned. Okay, this is for beginners anyways. So anyhow, in the bottom here, it's actually a false bottom that allows there's a float valve in there that allows water to kind of trickle in as needed, since obviously it's going to evaporate. So I'm just going to go ahead and deflate the bags, get the substrate nice and tightened, and then put the bags into the sterilizer straight up. Alright, so actually folding the bags properly. So I've got the filter patch towards me here, and I've just grabbed the gussets. This is, again, another reason why I like the big bag. I'm just going to kind of come down with the gussets, and I'm pushing down, again, to kind of create that block. And then, okay, if you thought that it was funny me being on my knees, sorry, you know, guys, whatever. It's just, this is what you got to do. It's not that big a deal for guys, but it is for girls. So, and basically you want to get out all the air and make kind of like a whoopee cushion. So the best way to do that is to kind of put your stomach, although this table is just, it's too small. So I got to literally like push this shit down with my boobs. I knew they would be good for something. Well, they're good for a lot of things, but you get my drift. And that's pretty much it. I'm just going to leave it just like this. Now this side here, it has the flap. I am going to set that actually on the edge, like facing towards the outer side, you know, the wall of the sterilizer, so that it can not come loose. All right, and that's it. I'm going to my next bag, and I'll do all these 5, and then I'll go back, bag up some more, do these 5, and should do that about 4 or 5 more times. Alright, so here's the first layer in the sterilizer, and I kind of lied. I started with the flaps towards the outer edge, like this way, and then, not the flaps, but the flaps, the filter patch. And then after a while you just got to kind of make it fit, so sometimes I turned it. This one here in the middle, I have to kind of fix up a little bit, but you have to, so the 4 obviously fit really nice. To get that 5th one in, and this is for 10-pound bags, you got to remember, but it's going to be the same thing if you have a bunch of smaller bags. That last one that goes in the middle, you really got to work it in. And don't be afraid to, you know, push it down, like squeeze it down. Just watch the filter patch so you don't rip it off. But you've got to squeeze it down in there, because otherwise you're not going to be able to fit 4 layers. And even with that 4th layer, you still might have to sit on the lid and pack it down in there. So, alright, I'm going to finish all this up. So that's it for making supplemented sawdust bags, the old school way, doing it by hand, manually, the cheapest way. And I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much. Have a great day.